Hi, I'm John Byrne with Poets&Quants.
I'm Sandy Kreisberg, the HPS guru.
And welcome to another edition of Handicapping Your MBA Odds. Today's candidate, a 25-year-old white male. He's born in the United States, but raised largely in Poland. He has a 690 GMAT and a 3.7 undergraduate GPA from a Little Ivy, which could be Amherst, Williams, or Wesleyan. For the last 3 years, he's been working in strategy and operations for Deloitte Consulting. And he wants an MBA degree. What do you say?
This guy presents the case of if you're a powerful, if you're a white male, how do you get into like Harvard from Deloitte or the Big Four? That's what this guy presents.
True.
As we've said frequently, if you work for the Big Four in Europe, that's considered a little more prestigious. If you work for the Big Four in the U.S., it's very hard to break out of there and get into like Harvard, Stanford, and Wharton. So this guy presents the case of, even though he was born in the U.S., grew up in Poland, so he may count as a European. He went to a classy school, a Little Ivy. He's got a good GPA. I think he's shooting for a 720 GMAT.
Yeah, he's going to retake it.
Mm-hmm. And he seems to be a star. From the way I read this, he seems to be a star at Deloitte.
Clearly.
And then he's got, this is interesting. He said when he was in college that he interned in asset management at Dodge & Cox, which Dodge & Cox is a famous large asset manager, and economic consulting at the Brattle Group, which is a boutique economic consulting group. It's an interesting question of, after that, how come he wound up at Deloitte? But for whatever reason, he seems to really fit in Deloitte. He said he wants to go back there.
Yes, he wants to rejoin Deloitte after getting his MBA.
He said that they may
they'll pay his way.
Sponsor it? Okay,
Yep.
well, that's all powerful.
He also founded a pro bono consulting group during undergrad, which I think is kind of interesting, depending on who he was consulting with.
That's not going to cut a lot of mustard, even though, I've got nothing against it. Just telling you what works here, folks. Volunteering with junior achievement is nice. That doesn't usually move the needle, although please continue to do it. Pro bono consulting volunteer trip to Panama, unless you can show dramatic and sustained impact, that's not going to move the needle. Co-founded social impact group initiative at Deloitte. That's a good slug on your recommendations, and then at a certain point, it begins, it begins to build. There's a lot of stuff, and they go, I see, this guy, even though there's no standout extracurricular, there's a pattern here of being involved in extracurriculars.
What about the networking thing he's
Deloitte
doing?
networking co-lead for New York office. I'm not sure what that means, but it's part and parcel of the fact that this guy is very, very comfortable at Deloitte, very innovative, very well thought of, and happy enough to generate all this energy to do that stuff. So we're getting the vibe here that this guy is, I'm going to call him European, even though he's born in America, very successful at Little Ivy and successful at Deloitte.
And here's the other thing. Although he wants to return to Deloitte to focus on what he calls market entry growth strategy and build the emerging market practice, his long-term goal is to return to Poland and Eastern Europe to help renewable energy and smart grid technology penetrate the Eastern European market. Sort of an interesting long-term goal.
For a long-term goal, considering he's got a background in that, considering he comes from Poland, that's acceptable. That's an acceptable aspirational reality based long-term goal.
Do you reveal it to the admissions committee, or you
Sure,
just
yeah,
keep that
why
in your
not?
pocket?
No, you reveal it and talk about it.
I mean, essentially, you want to be a leader in two very hot fields with great future growth in Eastern Europe.
It also signals that, I'll tell you what that statement signals. Like, I'm hip to what's out there, okay? I'm connected to the macro, aspirational, good guy, liberal thinking. So they go, yeah, well, you're our type of guy.
Because after all, renewable energy and smart grid technology.
Yeah, blah, blah. It's
right.
great.
They're anti-shale, fracking, and dirty energy, as he puts it.
Yeah, we're all anti. I don't know if. Well, no. There's the gal on TV who's pro fracking, right? You know her with the suit.
No, I missed that.
Yeah, there's a spokesman for the fracking industry.
Oh, okay. It's someone that's tried it out to go on Fox News or something, or what?
No, it's an advertisement.
Oh, okay.
We'll discuss this later. I want to get back to this guy. Under what circumstances do companies hire female spokespeople? Frequently for conservative causes like fracking. This is true. I read this someplace. Just
under what circumstances?
Yeah, female on television or on the radio. When are there male spokes, like the voiceover or the guy who comes on?
Yeah,
and
it's
says,
usually always male.
It's female under certain circumstances, including conservative, unusual causes like fracking. This is true.
Interesting. How about that?
I don't know why, but there you go. Let's get back to this.
Well, our Deloitte guy here wants to get into Harvard, Wharton, Kellogg, Columbia, Tuck, MIT, and Haas. Those are his target schools. Why don't we take the big one, Harvard, first? What do you think?
What's my tough love for this guy, John?
Get a higher GMAT.
There
for sure.
you go. We've been friends so long.
That's going to be number one. There's no doubt about it.
Right. Said it before. I'll say it again. GMAT really counts, particularly for white males from either Europe or any place.
Yeah.
So this guy, tough love for this guy is get a 720 GMAT, even if it requires taking it 3 times if you can do it. I know how punishing that is, but that's the biggest bang for the buck in terms of time and energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's say he gets a near 720 GMAT. I think this guy at HBS would be very attractive. I think he'd be in it depends on execution, recommendations, not blowing the interview. Could be 40%.
Wow. Okay.
40% at Harvard. I think at Wharton, with a 720 GMAT, he'd be very attractive. Odds at Wharton could be 40, 50%. At ditto Columbia, at Kellogg, Tuck, MIT, and Haas. At Haas, it's just a matter of convincing those places he wants to come. So
So the odds there would be 40, 50?
40, 50% plus, whatever my greatest odds are here.
And for those of you who know about Sandy's odds, he tends not to ever want to give anyone odds that are greater than 50%. That is extremely rare. Why? Because MBA admissions is incredibly random, yes?
No, because if your odds are super strong, you run up against a counterwind that they don't believe you're going to go there.
Yeah, that's
a
true.
lot of very powerful candidates get on the wait list at schools like Columbia and Wharton. They're just teasing you. They're saying, we're putting you on the wait list.
Because they're managing yield.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
they're extraneous factors.
Right.
That's why.
Well, I think, Mr. Deloitte, you're going to go and get a great MBA and a great education. I think you have a wonderful career ahead of you. Good luck. I'm John Byrne with Poets and Quants. May your MBA dreams come true.